wishing death on other people who get what they want.
Jesus Christ.
I was looking at your picture on Twitter just now. Actually, I was like, "Damn, man, this doesn't even look like a Switch anymore. It's like something else now. It's evolved into something else. It's crazy."
And nothing you could see was Nintendo made except for the very base of the dock, I think.
Well, the base of the dock, that dock is Nintendo licensed, but it's not made by them.
Oh, really?
So,
it's a whole different
yeah.
dock? I thought it was just
Yeah,
a
the
face
dock.
plate.
That's it's a base, and it sits, in front of your. Basically, your dock sits on top of it, and so the panel goes in front of your dock.
I get you.
Yeah.
It's like a window,
So, welcome everybody to Juices Loose number 299. We're one away from 300. 300, and then we're retiring. We're shutting her down, but yeah. So I can't believe it's been this many podcasts, and we usually pretty much have our usuals. We don't see too many new viewers these days, which is fine with me. I like recognizing just about everybody in the chat and stuff. So thanks for everybody for taking this ride with us, and I want to say happy birthday to Meza T, and he's now older than me for about 4 or 5 months, and then I'll be caught up to him.
I was just going to say, I think he's always older than you, though.
But number wise,
yeah, technically
got me. So Enlightening Winds, he mentioned the background first. So there you go. Congratulations. You win my respect.
No prize. No.
I do have a 30-day trial of HBO Max. I'm gonna do some kind of just
there you go.
Come up with some little game or something to play during the podcast, and if anybody's interested. But yeah,
totally worth it.
I would wait.
Savage.
I'd wait to use it because they don't even have they're not even caught up with 4K or anything.
It's disappointing right now.
And talk about region lock.
There's no app. There's no app for it. You have to go through
Xbox has
a browser. Well, I'm thinking there's no app for traditional like Amazon or Roku and shit like that.
Yeah, because my Blu-ray player obviously doesn't have it. My smart TV didn't have HBO Now either. But Xbox actually has the HBO Max app. So that's the only place I know of right now. Maybe Apple 4K or Apple TV maybe has an app.
There you go. Now you have a use for your Xbox.
Yeah.
So you mean you're not going to play games on it?
Since we're talking about Xbox, I will say I beat Ori and the Will of the Wisp last week.
Hey.
Yeah, good.
And it's...
beating games.
It might be the best Metroid style game since Super Metroid. It might have it overtook Hollow Knight.
I don't want to hear
Metroidvania. You mean Metroidvania?
We're not doing this conversation.
They might have. They took some ideas from Hollow Knight, and but the one thing that pushed it over the edge is just the impact of the actual. It's not like a typical story, but just the feels you get at the end of the game. Like, man, is
that Legend of Korra?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The lump in the throat, like, holy shit.
At
This is like sad, but also happy at the same time. It's crazy.
It's always about personal opinions and that kind of stuff. But the thing what I like Hollow Knight is I like the character design. I like the semi-cute stuff. And the thing about Ori is I think Ori, the character, is fucking hideous.
What? He's like a fucking...
never change, Retro. Never fucking change.
I mean, he's kind of like a cat that walks on his hind legs.
Little glowy rat thing, I hate you.
Well, you know what the problem is? I played Hollow Knight first, and when you're used to the cutie stuff, and then you go to Ori, which is kind of like
adorable.
In quotations, realistically designed.
You talking about the world?
That kind of shit. I don't know. Just the character. Only the character.
He's just a white glowing object.
He's shallow as shit.
He's a white glowing object. He doesn't look real at all. He looks like a fucking cartoon.
Not if you've seen like artwork on it.
Stay away from Bendy in the.
It's not the. I mean, Ori's the white rabbit rodent looking thing. Yeah, he doesn't look realistic at all.
You just thought he didn't know what he was looking at. He was like, Retro, you know what it looks like, right?
I thought of his friend, the taller, like, I don't even know what.
I thought the giant.
To be fair, y'all should be used to Retro having these weird ass opinions. I'm just saying. There's nothing new.
I mean, but anyway, it's a. I mean,
just take another shot, folks.
You want to talk?
Like a masterpiece.
It's hard to describe it's like the sad and happy feelings at the end. Like it's a technically, I guess it's supposed to be a happy ending, but it's just so sad and at the same time. But it's just to me like Hollow Knight, like gameplay wise, they're so neck and neck. And I mean, Hollow Knight had some moments that got me. I like that where you found that like opera house, and you hear that bug woman singing, and then I think you could kill her or she dies.
Yeah. What's her name? She's the voice of the city.
Don't you have to kill her to get something?
Yeah. So you can get her souls, and
Verizon knows how to build.
She gives you a charm, or I don't think she gives you a charm.
But
random
that part,
side note, he was actually designed by one of the backers.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah, look at this realistic looking glowing rat. Looks, I mean, photorealistic.
You slipped up, Retro.
But
you didn't even open your goddamn mouth.
There's nothing wrong with. I don't know. You be tripping, dog.
He's ugly. I mean, he's just.
I feel like T was doing a
Snoop
Dogg impression.
I think.
If you had a capture card, we could watch some of your gameplay juice.
Xbox has a capture card built in. Oh.
I could use them in his PC.
Yeah, I could do the PC as well. Actually, through Xbox, I don't know if the game record works.
It's just a damn.
It does.
shame
It's trash though. Like quality.
The release of this game was mired by the talk of all the bugs and stuff.
Yeah, the base Xbox One.
I think it really hurt it. Its launch really hurt.
I think it took quite a bit of its momentum.
Someone's got a party going on.
No, I feel like the devil just walked in like hello.
So his birthday.
I mean, look at this ugly little character on screen. It's hideously realistic and ugly.
It's your birthday.
Hey, listen, not everyone has the same taste. Right?
Now this thing's
man have
ugly.
his taste.
No, I mean, to me, it's up there. It's right there with all the best art styles I've ever seen in a game. Taken to the next level because everything's moving, and it's like nothing, like almost nothing looks static. Like we talked about how Horizon Zero Dawn and a lot of open world games have static environments. Well, there's a lot of like 2D games that are pretty static, and this like completely broke that mold. Like, I mean, when you jump on stuff, it reacts like physically to you. Like if you cross a wooden bridge, it moves when you land on it. There's a lot of just like little details that you would think of like Nintendo. Like right there, if you're, it'll happen in a second for you guys, where you jump off a log and it moves from the weight of your jump, and there's just so much put into it. It does suck that it had some technical issues in the beginning. I'm glad they fixed it. Pretty much it was nearly flawless for my last half of the game I played on the Xbox. So they did get it fixed. It sucks that it wasn't right at launch. So
this game mixes 2D and 3D, almost seamlessly, where you can't tell what's what. I think that's what I love about it. They've managed to do that. Whereas a lot of 2.5D games or whatever, you can clearly see what's 2D and what's 3D. But in this one, it's just beautiful.
And the layers of the foreground, background, and then just I don't think this is graphics or anything, but the way that Ori like actually lights up the objects, like so that's where they kind of a normal 2D game probably wouldn't have, because if the environments were just like drawn and they weren't, I don't know if these environments are 3D at all, but the way that it just as you get close to something and it lights up the area around you, it just adds,
I think, like
something to it.
We joke about it a lot, and it needs to be said that it's joking. There's actually really nothing wrong with graphics, Ori. I'm just saying.
No, I mean,
we always do that to mess around and shit, but of course the game looks fucking gorgeous, and that's one of the draws to it. It makes me think a lot, especially the backgrounds of like Trine. Like that's some fucking master quality.
Oh yeah, Trine.
Visual.
Another.
We've been graphics horrors since the fucking NES, man. Look at Mario Bros. 3. Oh my god.
But it's just nice when they, like, we usually talk about Nintendo adds all these little details that most like I'd be curious to go back and play like Rayman Legends, which in my mind kind of has a similar art style, but I would like to see just how it compares.
Why don't you blow up some footage of it real quick?
Because I want to feel like it's going to be completely static
I remember it looking better than I think you're gonna. It wasn't.
Rayman Legends looks beautiful, but Ori does blow.
I'm guessing
it's different, but it's also a different style. But it's kind of hard.
I think Rayman is gonna look a bit more flat because it's actually hand drawn.
And I don't think do they. I mean, I feel like there's a moving stuff in the environments and stuff in that. game.
No, there is.
So I'm gonna, as soon as this Dyson hair.
I like
gotta
Reese's
make that
peanut
YouTube
butter
money,
cup.
man.
The Juice is Loose is sponsored by Dyson.
Fucking nasty.
Fuck out of here.
I mean, stuff's moving, but definitely looks
Retro Death hot takes.
The
environment's the stuff's moving and stuff, but it definitely, and it's got the foreground and stuff, but it's on a different level. It's a different approach. I feel like if they made a new Rayman, it would look closer to what Ori. I think that's what they kind of.
Should do.
That would imply Ubisoft would give it some more time.
The thing is,
finished your last game.
Origins and Legends done really well for them.
But Legends came out in like 2013.
Yeah, but then we're talking about Ansel's team as well.
Wait, Legend, is that the one that was pushed back on Wii U?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one game.
I don't think it did well.
Well,
overall,
it literally got ported to everything.
It sold a couple million overall.
But they had to port it to everything.
They ported it to everything, and then it was funny because it remade its way back.
It's still a good-looking game, though. I mean, no.
Oh no, I think the game is fun as hell.
No, it's a good game.
Yeah, I think the platforming is tighter in Origins than it is in Legends, but I still like both games.
Yeah.
But Ubisoft just can't be fucking trusted.
Well, we mentioned before that Legends was arguably that game that doomed the Wii U.
Yeah.
When they delayed it, really...
I wouldn't say doomed it, but it didn't help that
it was the beginning. It was the beginning of the end. That's for sure.
It was that one game that everyone was like, right, yeah, this is gonna fill that gap between, the desert that is the Wii U at the moment, and then they delayed it, and then it was nothing. We were like, holy.
It ended up hurting that game anyway because of that whole nonsense.
It got boycotted
because it came. It came out in the holiday season when everything else was
right around GTA 5. Look at this.
It also got boycotted.
And then when they reviewed it, everyone was just like, "Yeah, the Wii U version is the best."
Well, obviously, because half the shit was designed for the gamepad.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
Anybody watching the stream? This storm area in the beginning, like this is where you take the 2D to the next level, where it's just like, this reminds me of Donkey Kong Country.
Would you even call that 2D?
Isn't there a storm in the beginning in the first one?
Probably, but I don't. It wasn't quite like the environments didn't quite move.
They didn't look like this.
Remember in Donkey Kong Country, the layers of snow and how awesome that was when there's like 4 or 5 different layers, and it's like I think this to me was like, a new version of that feeling. Seeing how far they took the layering of everything and how everything moves. So it's just, I played beaten 2 games so far that came out this year, Doom Eternal and Ori, and it's like, if I did reviews and stuff, they'd both get my highest recommendation you could give, and not like every game's absolutely perfect. I don't think there is a game that's absolutely perfect, but I couldn't recommend this or Doom Eternal enough. Like they're both, I'd consider masterpiece level quality.
I'll probably be grabbing this one next. Was it done with Xenoblade? Because both Ori and Doom, I think, we were all just like, right, yeah, they're going to be must plays. We got to get them, and plenty of time has passed now. So, I think it's about time we finally got around to playing one of them. I'll get there.
Not going to wait for the Switch version?
I mean, the original game was almost identical to the Xbox version. I think the Switch would have a little bit more trouble with this one. I mean, even the Xbox did.
Maybe. I reckon it could do a really good job of it.
Because playing on the base model Xbox, like the backgrounds, this scene not as much, but they're pretty low res, and just to get the frame rate more consistent, they made it they're pretty blurry at times, but but the foreground stuff still looks pretty sharp. So I think the Switch would probably just overall the foreground, everything would probably look about what the backgrounds look like. But if they get a pretty good 60 and they get, majority of what's in the game, as far as not too many things scaled back, definitely. I think Nintendo fans, I think they should have bought the first Ori game on Switch more, which, from what I could tell, it didn't really stay in the top eShop charts very long.
My excuse is that I have it on Steam already, so I really didn't feel like picking it up again.
Yeah, that's
I
what
bought
I
it, just didn't play it.
So yeah, let me. We're gonna get to question. We got. I was pre-reading a few questions. There's some pretty good ones in there. Doesn't Min Min come out today? Or
I thought it was tomorrow.
I thought it was the 29th.
Is it 29th?
Yeah, I thought it was,
but I haven't seen
29th,
anybody
it was supposed to be my
posting
birthday.
like they got her yet. So I don't know if she's not available.
If we do, it's probably gonna be like in a couple hours. I would
Let's
bet.
say I haven't really seen any traffic. in
No
terms
one
of
cares.
Twitter.
So anybody who here is getting Min Min?
Already bought
I
it.
am.
Of course you did.
I mean, I didn't have it bought originally. I bought it like after I saw.
See, I forgot it was part of the new.
Well,
The
have you
new
bought
set.
You
the
forgot
fighting
we were in
pass?
second season.
Mm-hmm.
And Juice isn't buying the new pass. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not planning on getting Min Min.
Retro, I hate you, bro.
It just, to me, it's,
I'm doing the
Juice
same
didn't buy
thing.
the first pass.
I'm doing the same thing as the previous fighter pass. I'll buy it, but once a character comes out I really care about, and then it's just, I never bought Arms yet. It's like I wanted an Arms
How
character, but
dare
it's
you.
not enough for me to buy the pass yet.
You like one of those fake ass YouTubers who reacted to the trailer like, "Oh my god, it's not Twins." And I was like, "Y'all are some bitches." Like, I don't recognize any of these characters' names, but I want the girl that's a fat ass that people were talking about on Twitter. And I was like, man,
Wow.
y'all are garbage. Absolute
That
garbage.
reveal trailer though, man, was just
Oh no, that shit was beautiful.
so good.
Also, they can't keep Kirby out of any fucking trailer. It feels like nowadays.
No, right?
It's almost like the Sakurai bias.
It
I
is
know. You think Sakurai might like Kirby or something?
And then the random factoid about Captain Falcon and his voice actor, I was like, all right. I don't know why you keep bringing this up, Sakurai. We're not getting a new game. I don't know why you keep bringing this up. You gonna
Maybe
develop a
we
new
are.
F-Zero, you fucker?
It's coming.
so,
Don't change his voice actor and then not give him a new game. You
so there's an
bastard.
open world Harry Potter game coming to next gen consoles next year, apparently.
Is it a Lego game?
Doesn't
Nah, it's
say.
just rumor shit.
Game-
That's like
GameSpot, I
my
mean-
first assumption when I hear about that crap.
I think it's all been pretty much leaked and confirmed in some respects.
I mean, if
Warner
it's
Bros.
done
Yeah, we
right,
got
I'm
a
all
good
for
thing.
it. That's a cool world to.
Well, to be fair, I'd be more in. That's the type of game where I'd be more interested in a more cartoonish art style, in order to represent Harry Potter. I have a feeling it's going to come and it's going to be trying to look like the movies, and I think that would put me off from playing it. I would prefer.
The EA ones on GameCube were pretty cool.
I was just gonna say that I would actually like it if it's more realistic and a bit dark, because you had the EA games already were cartoony.
maybe-
I always thought, man, yeah, you could do it a little bit.
I didn't like those that much, and it's maybe because I didn't like the movies that much. I always prefer the books, and then like
Wow.
in my head, I always
I
just
thought
had
I thought the movies were a nice complement to the books. The books had way more, but once I filled my brain with all the stuff that happened in the books, it just it filled in for me some of the missing things that always kind of left me wondering what the hell. Just I don't know what happened in that movie, like the Half-Blood Prince. I'm like, I'm really not sure what the hell happened in that movie. And then I read the book and I rewatched the movie, and with the information I knew from the books, it's one of my favorite in the series now is the Half-Blood Prince. So it's definitely not, the movies aren't as good as the books by themselves, but I think having read the books and then rewatched the movies, I'm pretty happy, and I stated I think that's probably the best.
Yeah, there's plenty of elements I do like about the films, but just overall, they just weren't. They didn't.
Best book
for
adaptation.
stupid, they didn't feel magical to me. They're not the best book adaptations at all. No way.
The one problem I had with the movies, just to say that, because it bothers me so, because I love the movies. I like the atmosphere they give. But goddamn, in the 90s, Hercules had fucking better centaurs than what Harry Potter did in like 2000 something, whatever. Those look horrible.
The first two movies were pretty. I felt like they had the budget, but I don't know, just Christopher Columbus or whoever. It just they use a lot of practical effects.
He's not a good director.
A lot of practical set, and it just didn't have that magical feel. I feel like once the Prisoner of Azkaban came out, like the movies took a turn in the right direction. And I think it's for me it's the greatest accomplishment in Hollywood, history, as far as 9 movies that are all pretty consistent, good acting.
Yep, I would have to agree.
Child actors who turned out to be pretty good, adult actors, and then they just all the way through they didn't flub the ending, even though it was
in terms of amount of movies, and like you said, in terms of being consistent throughout all those movies, in terms of tone and direction and stuff. Then yeah, how many films, series have had that many entries, in movies, so.
And like usually they tried that
Bond.
with how many other series did they try, and then by the second or third movie things just start falling apart, like the Divergent, even Hunger Games,
Aragon.
There was the Cupboard, the Lion Witch and the Wardrobe Room. What was that? Narnia fell apart.
Fell apart.
Narnia had like one incredible movie, one okay one, and then it was like, what the fuck is all this other shit?
And then Fox bought the rights and made this like completely random, like what the hell was that? Like maybe the books were like that, where like they jumped time. Percy Jackson, another one. It's like, so it's not. Yeah. It's not a easy thing, and no one else has really successfully.
I agree from that point of view.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings obviously was a success all the way through.
That's only 3 movies. We're talking 9.
But then you look at the Hobbit. The same people make the Hobbit, and it's like, what the hell happened? How did?
Well, I like the Hobbit.
The passion was gone. That was the difference between the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, because he didn't even want to direct.
There was so much passion. Right.
Peter Jackson didn't want to direct him, and then
supposed to be Guillermo del Toro, but he got tired of waiting around
because of the dispute between New Line and Warner Brothers. Right. And anyway, enough movie talk. I know Terrell, he's squirming.
I blacked out. What?
It's like T-show.
I love how we always do that shit when Robert isn't there in the movie.
Yeah. So
I'm playing that, and I'll see what it is.
So I'm the only one not getting Min Min, or is there anybody else that's passing?
I'm gonna. I do. I want Min Min. She looks like a great character, and she's probably my second favorite character in ARMS. But I'm kind of. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm gonna play.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm gonna play enough. We don't play enough anymore to justify. If there's a next character,
schedule it.
If the next character is amazing, then I'll be like, all right, you got 2 pretty good characters. Maybe I'll get the pass or something. But but I'm in no hurry. And then Hardened Soul asked me a while back, or a while ago in the chat, how was my Last of Us playthrough. I just did a video. Was that Saturday? And I'm about 10 hours in the game now, and I'm really liking it. I know I made that video because I think, and that's something I want to talk about. How do you guys feel about a developer, and even if it was a movie, like a movie, game, whatever, is like they advertise a character, a main character, someone you play as, and then for whatever reason decide to keep secret that the second half of the game is this completely other character that you've never seen in this, it wasn't a franchise till they made the sequel. It's like, I don't understand why they keep that a secret. That Clock, that you brought up Metal Gear Solid 2, a game I never played, so I don't know how much of that.
I'm not even joking, right? When Metal Gear 2 came out, I didn't even know about Raiden. No, I don't think anyone knew about Raiden.
And how much of the game is Raiden?
The whole game, pretty much.
Really?
You play a Snake on the tanker, and the demo of Metal Gear Solid 2, the one that they shipped with Zone of the Enders, which I bought, was all Snake on the tanker. I tell you what, it's one of the best openings to any game ever. The tanker in Metal Gear Solid 2.
I did play the opening.
It's a phenomenal level, and it just showcases everything that the PS2 was going to be capable of. It's a phenomenal level, and you're like, Snake looks badass scene. And then you play as Raiden up on a rig, and you're just like, man, this guy looks limp. His hair looks stupid. What the fuck's going on? And you play as him for most of the game. I still love the story to Metal Gear Solid 2, apart from the end. And like you got Vamp in there and stuff, who's a great character, or whatever. But Raiden is just dry and boring as fuck. And then you get to play as Snake a bit more towards the end. But he's almost like a cameo in the game. He's really.
It's sitting at a 96 on Metacritic. I remember just nothing but praise for this game, and I didn't know Raiden was that much. I knew he was a playable character, but I didn't know he was that much of the game. Why do you think that wasn't more of a big deal back then?
I mean, Metal Gear is still a good game. It's still got great characters. It's a cool story, and the AI is hilarious when you can mess around and do stuff. The actual area itself, the game environment itself, gets a bit repetitive because they keep you pretty much in the same areas. But I mean, it deserved the accolades that it got for what it achieved. It wasn't a trash game. It was broken in terms of narrative.
Raiden was a cool, likable character, unlike
and flow, and because of Raiden, like he said, he was out of place there. He didn't.
Well, what, was he in Twin Snakes? Because I remember playing as him in something. I remember his character in something.
His debut was in Metal Gear Solid 2. Well, you might have played as him in Revengeance or.
Revengeance?
He was in Metal Gear Solid 4 as well.
Oh, okay, because I never really. He seemed like a kind of a. In my opinion, he's like an AI almost. He's just like he didn't have much of a character.
They made him more badass in Metal Gear 4 because they wanted to redeem, his design for Metal Gear Solid 2. They say we need to make Raiden cool, so they turned him into a ninja, like Ninja pretty much.
So I'm just wondering, are there other games where it's done? Like Retro Death tried to use the example of like Deadpool 2 trailers showed like all these cool like side superheroes, and then in the actual movie, does anybody think it's a spoiler to talk about a 2-3-year-old movie at this point? But anyway, the trailers made it look like there's gonna be this team up of all these superheroes and stuff, and then in the movie it's just like it's that part of it's over in like 10 minutes.
No, it's not that wasn't exactly what it was. I thought it was super funny what they did. So what they did in the trailer for Deadpool 2 is like they introduced all these awesome characters, and you saw them fight and have all these moves and these scenes. But in the movie, they jump out the plane and they all die while jumping out of the plane. None of the other shit ever happens.
Yeah, but that works for Deadpool because you expect to be trolled.
Yeah, and like I said, character. That's why I brought up like Metroid Prime 4. Like if you pick up Metroid Prime 4, it's a pretty highly anticipated sequel for fans, and you play as Samus, and then 15 minutes in the game, it cuts to you're playing as this random other bounty hunter. And you're like, oh, what's this about? And then you find out that the second half of the game is entirely this other bounty hunter. You'd be pretty pissed, I think. So I understand why people.
I think it was more offensive with Last of Us 2 because of how narrative focused that game is.
I don't know if that matters.
I feel like it matters for some people.
Because, like I said, in the first 15 minutes, you play as this Abby character. So they introduce that character and that you play as her right away. So why keep what was the secret about? Like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't spoil anything to know that they're introducing this other character that exists in this world. Like they can do that without revealing any kind of spoilers or any kind of anything. Like it's just, to me, it's like it's information that you should know before you.
I was going to say Halo 5.
Yeah, because Halo. Yeah, that's right. You don't play as Master Chief for a lot of the game, right?
Yeah, but they made it seem like it was going to be this big epic battle between Master Chief and what's his name? What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but it's not that at all. It's a total fake out.
And then the trailer does mislead you. One of the story trailers shows a character in the trailer, then in the game it's a different character, and they did that probably to try to squelch rumors and stuff of another character, something happening to him, so that to me is perfectly fine. Hey, we want to throw people off that are trying, maybe talking rumors and stuff of this character. Well, we'll make this, so maybe that'll throw people off from a story point. But to actually keep us 50% of the game like secret as far as like
Infinity War did that. They had Hulk running in the trailer, and you go to the movie and it's Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah.
Like, what is this shit?
Yeah, I don't mind that
You tricked me.
They did that to try to throw people off the scent of what rumors were probably out there for the story.
It's like, personally, I don't care. Not even thinking about the fact that I don't really appreciate the games, but it's like I don't really care. I don't really mind that it uses a different character, because you used the example of Metroid, but Metroid has been Samus for like 100 games, and The Last of Us is like the second game. So if you want to change it up, to me, that doesn't really hurt any of the games. What I just don't get is, like you said, like, why hide it? There's literally no point. If you would have showed the other character in a trailer, it would have literally killed 0% hype, I feel, for the game. It just makes no sense hiding it.
Yeah,
I think it's because they thought, at least when we were reading, because a lot of people have issues with the story. Maybe Neil Druckmann is smelling his own farts, and he thought he didn't want to reveal that because it was going to be so awesome to where that gets revealed and how it plays out in the story, but nobody else really feels that way.
And I'm actually,
ironically enough, I would say that in that situation, it's either you're incredibly egotistical, thinking your shit's so great, or you're incredibly insecure and you're afraid.
All you gotta do is go to his Twitter. You can see how he's kind of an asshole.
I think he was probably
really in love with his work.
Maybe they were worried about people who were like, oh, I don't get to play as Ellie the whole time, like maybe that was something, or he just thought it was just like this great secret to keep. I'm like, once I found out, I'm like, oh, okay, I understand why people are mad. I don't know the story impact at this point because I haven't got that far, but
no, you've gotten essentially, at least from the beginning of the game, which I don't feel like the beginning is a spoiler.
No, you play as her. I mean, you literally play as her.
No, I mean the major death at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, there's no reason to mention that.
Okay, the only reason why I mention it is because it's kind of the setup for the whole story, realistically.
Yeah,
and so they're trying to do you need to understand it from her perspective. That's the idea.
That's what I'm.
But
guessing.
it's not an interesting idea to begin with.
But for a lot of people, it didn't work. That's what I was hinting at.
Yeah, because it was poorly paced and it was split up.
I'm actually intrigued to see what happened now to lead to what happens in the beginning of the game. But I'm glad that I know that I play this as this other character. If that would have been a surprise, I'd have been bummed. Like, oh, why am I playing this other character? Like, why didn't you tell me? Like, knowing it in advance, I can kind of prepare for it and know that my time playing as Ellie is not going to be 25 hours. So I can, I'm just like mentally prepared for this. When's it going to happen? And I'm fine with it, knowing that it happens. And I might not like. I didn't like the character so far. What you're introduced in the beginning of the game, I'm like, man, this bitch. I don't like her. I actually walked off a cliff intentionally because I didn't like her. That I'm like, oh, I gotta play as this bitch. Like I have to play as her. And I literally walked off. I walked off the cliff just to kill her once. And then I was like, and then I'm like, and then you just get through the level, and then it's actually a pretty intense section of the game in the beginning, and then I'm like, okay, so let's see if this character's perspective changes at all after this thing happened, and then it cuts back. You cut to Ellie, and then this big moment happens, and I haven't played with her since, but I'm interested to see how they try to show you her point of view, like try to have some sympathy. I heard that the gameplay with this other character is actually some really cool stuff gameplay wise. So I'm gonna keep an open mind. I'm not looking forward to playing as this other character, but at the same time, I'm glad that I know I'm switching characters now, and I think it would have been quite the shock.
All I'm gonna say, just look forward to some quality cutscenes. That's all I'm gonna say.
I was going to say was when you mentioned the gameplay of you actually being quite good then of the other character or whatever, that's absolutely fine. I got no issue with that. It's like we can go back to that same generation as Metal Gear Solid 2 with Halo 2. Now, unlike a lot of other people, I fucking hated Halo 2. I think it's one of the worst sequels in gaming history. I honestly believe that down to my core. And you play like the Arbiter and all this stuff. I was like, why am I playing this alien douchebag who who you don't care about the covenant. You don't care about the covenants. The covenants were this
at all
unknown alien race. They were terrifying. The elites were terrifying, and then you humanize them. But then when you control the arbiter, you might as well just be playing as Master Chief because they control exactly the same. You at times I forgot who I was even playing at. I'm like, am I the Chief now? Am I the arbiter? I don't give a shit about the story. What's going on?
Facts.
Why do you just leave me as a Chief? And then even then, there was no mention of the arbiter because another thing that pissed me off about Halo 2, and when you want to talk about them not telling you stuff, is that when they first showed the demo of Halo 2, that shit blew my balls off. You were in this futuristic, dark, neon-lit city. Covenant were bombarding the city. You came in as Chief. You're going down these futuristic streets and everything. It was fucking fire. And then when the game came out, it looked like you were playing Call of Duty because they put you there like in some like desert-type town and stuff. I was like, yo, come on, man. This is whack. What's going on? And then, like you said, you switch characters. They tried to make this elaborate story about the Covenant and stuff. It just wasn't needed. So that was one of those. You go back then, and they dropped stuff on you. They big you up about Master Chief because you just come off playing as Master Chief from one of the bomb-ass games ever from Halo 1. You come to Halo 2.
But everybody loved Halo 2. I don't understand.
Oh, it's garbage. Absolute garbage. I hated it.
And then they try to give you this elaborate ass story, and you got these little creatures running around going, and I'm like, I can't take it seriously.
Yeah, and they tried to make you care about the
I'm like, no, I don't care.
The Covenant are actually all these group of aliens. Some of them are bad, but some of us want to be friends. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, you're a shit, man. It ruins.
Like I love the game. Like it's fun gameplay, but trying to get me invested in the story, and I was just like, no.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
I have an ironic feeling that Last of Us 2 is going to be in that same kind of thought process because most of the game, even when Sony had their little, what was like 20 minutes for Last of Us 2, that little state of play they did dedicated to it, I thought the gameplay looked fine, but man, that story will really take you out of it. I sat down and decided to watch a good chunk of the cutscenes, and I was like, bro, I don't understand how people enjoy this.
What are you talking about, man? Video games just grew up.
But I would say though,
it's like, man, I don't know how people fucking do this.
watching game cutscenes, watching video game cutscenes without playing the stuff that sets up the cutscenes that before. Like I watched was it Beyond the Trailer? What's her name? Grace. She reviewed the Spider-Man game cutscenes all cut together, and she's like, "Yeah, I didn't know it was
why."
Because I don't know. She thought it'd be interesting, probably, and it's just like without the gameplay and moments that you actually play to fill in kind of the blanks, like I was talking about with the Harry Potter books, it probably does feel way more janky. And so far, there hasn't been a ton of cutscenes, and but the ones that I've had have all been fine. And I will say the thing that happens in the beginning. I've honestly can't think of a game where I've been more motivated to actually play, like to get to the conclusion or try to, get that revenge or whatever, to see it through. Like I can't think of a game where I've been motivated story-wise so much for a game before this. So I really, it got the hook in me from that point of view. Where I'm just like,
I hope it works out for you in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you're engaged.
So we'll see.
I'm glad you're engaged.
The one thing I don't like, and I watched a couple spoiler-free reviews before I knew people weren't even saying, like, they felt that was a spoiler to say as you play as a different character. It wasn't until Jeremy Johns did a review, and he's just like, he just said it right away. Oh, you play as Ellie and you play as Abby. Like, you have two main characters. It's like two games in one. Like, oh. That makes sense why some people are mad now. But the reviews I watched before that were like, something happens in the middle of the game. And I was really I was really upset about it. And then I played through, and by the end I was happy I stuck with it. And then there was people in my comments were like, oh, I quit playing, and I just I went on YouTube and watched the rest of the game cutscenes. I stopped playing the game, and I was like, I mean, I guess it's you can do whatever you want.
Everybody, approached the first game and came out with, different sensibilities from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that
That's
stuff doesn't get fulfilled,
That's
No,
the dumbest
it's-
shit. No,
it's
I
not
will
dumb.
say-
It's
I will-
not
I
dumb.
will
If you
say,
like
look-
characters and stuff, and you come out,
no. I
things
wasn't
change.
referring to what you said. What you said. It's like if you don't want to continue playing the game because you hate it, but then you keep watching the cutscenes anyway, you might as well keep playing the game.
Not really. Maybe
No,
the
that's two
gameplay
different
isn't holding
things,
you
bro.
enough.
That's two different things.
Yeah,
Like
to me,
a lot of
like
people, if you play Last of Us, the big part of it, 90% of that game is the story.
Yeah.
You know, so let's, so if
That
the
was one of the
gameplay
reasons
isn't
why-
overly compelling, yeah, I just want to see how it ends. At that point, if you're so upset,
that was the kicker with the first game, where people were calling that shit like game of the year, and literally every time I heard someone talk about it, it was always that narrative, man, the story between Joel and Ellie, and I was like, what about
yeah,
the
but a lot of
gameplay?
the
that's my problem with it is that I never got invested in the story of the first game, so that's why it's hard for me to get through it.
But a lot of the best story isn't in the cutscenes in The Last of Us. It's just dialogue as you're walking around, and then the encounters with the clickers and stuff that
I just mean like the world. I'm not overly invested in the world.
I would, but just
of the
for me
game.
personally, like the cutscenes were well done and well acted, but the best moments were just walking around and you can choose to hit the triangle if you see like Ellie's got a little box, like the comic book, like little text bubble.
Hit triangle.
And you can hit triangle to have a conversation while you're walking, or you don't have to. But some of that stuff was just the best part of it for me. It wasn't really just the cutscenes. And I feel the same way about the second game. But if you didn't love the gameplay, there's not a lot of major changes to it. It's more, I'd say it's smoother, more, I don't know, it's just a little bit, refined, but it's not like any major changes. So if you didn't like The Last of Us, the first one, as far as the gameplay, they didn't do that much different. They just tweaked and made small improvements, and otherwise it's...
Oh yeah, the reviews are honest about that. That's
it's
all
the
I
same
ever-
core.
that's all I hear.
It's the same core gameplay experience, and which is what I liked about the first one, and this one's just a little bit better in that front. It's not, but if you didn't like the first one, this isn't gonna like change your mind. It's like, any other sequel, like Metroid Prime 2 had some new elements, but it wasn't like this complete change. If you didn't like Metroid Prime for whatever reason, you wouldn't like Metroid Prime 2 for what the changes they made. So I would just say,
Retro, right?
if you didn't like this, if you didn't like the first one gameplay wise, you're not gonna like this. But I like that it's open. There's a big open area, just like Lost Legacy, where you can kind of just go around try to get into different buildings and just get supplies and learn more about the Seattle, what's going on between which was like the military and this faction that was like fighting against the military, but then they just became worse, it seems like, than the actual whatever the military was called. They had a specific name for them. So just a little information. It's completely optional.
I like that type of gameplay though. I like the exploration and the looking around. You have that a lot in Days Gone too. The thing why I stopped playing the first Last of Us is because the shooting sections were just garbage, and I just couldn't play that shit. But if they changed the shooting gameplay,
I don't like the shooting.
If they adapted that in the second game, then there's a chance I could definitely play that, and I might force myself to play through the first one.
It was just
I nearly committed suicide with that last run through the hospital at the end. I was just like, "Oh, fuck this game, man."
That was a long.
I'm surprised I completed it.
That was a long stretch there of doing the same thing. But I will say it's just like Uncharted 4 versus the PS3 versions. Just the controller itself automatically makes aiming and shooting just significantly better, in my opinion. There's not a ton of shooting. I've done most of I'd say 50% of my kills have been stealth. Just sneak up behind them and take them out quietly. And but when I have gotten to shootouts and stuff, I feel like it's pretty good. But it's definitely better in that regard. I'd say that's probably one of the areas that's stands out more over the last game, because I played it on the PS3 controller, which is the worst controller of all time in my opinion. So especially the analog sticks. So just in that regard itself. But I think Retro, you'd probably I think you'd like the first the open area, because I think it's something you would enjoy. But then it's a little bit of a bummer. You go through this gate just thinking, I'll open another gate here, and then there's a bank and there was a safe. I never found the combination. I was like, I'll go through this gate and maybe this combination's in here, and then no, it's a no point of no return moment. It doesn't let you know that, hey, that's open.
That's so bullshit.
Maybe the other character could be like, once we go through here, we should probably just keep moving forward, or some kind of hint that you're not gonna be able to go back anymore. That would be my biggest complaint at this point.
They had to put the game out. They ran out of time, so they couldn't finish that area.
I think it's just I don't know if they just felt like people they wanted to move people forward at that point, but it would have been nice to. I wish I had a save file where I could have went back, because I would have. But anyway, let's get to. I don't think there was any other like big stories or anything from the week, was there?
Ys 9.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but only like certain people care about that team.
Wasn't there something? Wasn't there another?
Crash's game and
that stuff.
Crash for $60. Oh my god, $60. Ah!
Well, we talked about last week on there, didn't we? Where I was breaking.
Yeah.
Well, because it was announced. I think that.
Yeah, because I was looking at the jumping and I'm like, what the hell? This looks like a fucking mobile game.
There actually is more gameplay footage of it now.
And what about
for a cartoon game?
What about SpongeBob? Didn't that come out?
Yeah, that came out.
It came out, and did they patch that thing? Because
the Switch version is not worth
woo on Switch. Woo.
Yeah, the Switch version was. I think it hung around. It was. They were aiming for 60, and it hangs around like the 40s and 50s.
That's not bad.
No,
that's not bad.
That's not the it's a really janky frame rate.
Yeah,
that's not bad for the PlayStation 2 game. Is that what you're saying?
When the game was 60 frames on GameCube, that's bad, son.
Yeah, that is bad.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's not just that it's under 60. It's just like a janky, like kind of wildly all over the place frame rate.
It looks like they kept the Switch and PS4 versions look pretty damn close.
Yeah, they tried. I think that
visually,
was the problem.
Oh, it says mostly 30 on this analysis, and it runs at. Was it even?
I saw it.
648, so it's not even running at HD.
Yeah, and then
it doesn't look terrible though in these comparisons.
No, it looks good,
but
it's a little blurry. You can see, but
I like the colors on the Switch glows a little bit.
Oh, the other problem was the pop-in. That was the other issue.
Oh, pop-in, that's right.
That draw distance was a bitch.
Right.
You got a few.
I paid almost $30 for the GameCube game, so I might as well just play that.
So the PS4.
No, if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it on PC. That's my main.
No, I already have the GameCube one. I bought it in January, and then I heard that this was coming. I was like, God damn it, because I waited forever to get it, and because somebody kept telling me.
And
I would say if you get the PC version, you ignore most of the problems. I think there's still like a couple of glitches, but nothing like game breaking.
I think you'd be all right just at the Xbox version, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen,
I don't have a problem with what I'm seeing.
It does sound like the people with nostalgia for the game seem to be in. I saw a couple.
Well, the game
tweets.
it's a good game. It's a really good game.
But people have been. Man, those reviews were not kind to that game. Oh
no!
I mean, I'm just looking at some gameplay, and I mean, it's his like swinging around attack.
So dead on the PS4.
Look at those jaggies! Oh,
yeah, the jaggies. I think the main
pretty
problem
close
was that,
on my monitor.
That pop in is what the biggest.
Yeah, that's like it's more than a pop in. It's like a fade in.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah.
Ooh,
what the hell?
That's like a reverse Avengers kind of shit.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
Oh
I'm
yeah, did y'all see the new Marvel Avengers gameplay?
We can talk about that.
Trash.
I'm not saying this to like be funny or anything, but I'm looking at this like fence here and how jagged it is. And I'm getting Mario Sunshine vibes like from this level of visuals on the Switch. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, that's a wrap.
Well, I mean. Wait,
you're saying it looks like a GameCube game.
I'm saying it looks like a GameCube game. That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to work out what he's talking about.
It's a widescreen.
Well, it is a GameCube
It
game.
runs-
technically.
It runs
I was trying to
slightly
think of,
higher.
fences in Mario Sunshine.
It runs slightly higher than the GameCube's resolution, and obviously there's more.
Oh, look at the
visually
bubble
going on.
difference. There's not enough bubbles in the Switch version.
Isn't that crazy that
Pass.
20 years ago the GameCube's doing 60 frames per second with 480p,
Regularly.
and now we're at 20 years later and we're talking 640p and not even 60 frames. It's just crazy to think about.
I didn't even know the resolution.
on some garbage ass indie game as well.
I don't understand. Hey, it's not a garbage indie game. Watch it, pal.
So let's see what the original looks like.
Long enough, then. I think-
Outside, buddy.
I'm sure there's a huge difference visually in the game. Over
Oh,
the
yeah,
GameCube.
visually.
It's more playable than Mario Sunshine is, that's for sure.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, it looks like pretty much a different game. I mean,
yeah, they went.
but when you think of just that part looks pretty close.
Ooh, looks a little ashy.
The cutscenes are not the best.
Ooh, that's fog. What's up with all that fog, bro?
What's
Yeah,
the
I wouldn't
gameplay?
even. I wouldn't even use the.
This is like N64 now with all that damn fog.
A few more jaggies on the GameCube version, but not much.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Maybe I'll just keep to my GameCube one.
I was waiting because apparently there was a day one patch, and I wanted to see what the day one patch did, but like literally no one has footage of it. And
do you know what? Another developer and that GameCube version could still look even better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not the Switch's fault that these things are happening. It's just not the best development going on.
Well, even the PS4 version said 900p to 1080. So if PS4 can't even hit a locked resolution for a game like this, it's probably running. Is it running Unity?
I mean, obviously they're adding more stuff to it, like the grasses. You got moving grass, and there's more stuff going on. It's not just a HD. It's not like it's not like a remaster. It is a remakester.
Yeah, because I remember early play testing of the game. People's biggest issue was the fact that the physics didn't feel the same, so they had to kind of go back in there and retool it.
Is it Unreal Engine 4? I was gonna guess.
Not
Unity.
the easiest thing to do is try to mimic something.
Yeah, especially when you're
from the ground up,
especially for a platformer. That shit's
right.
hard.
A platformer, especially, yeah.
Because if you don't get that fucking jump and movement speed, that shit'll drop people.
I mean, new Super's Lucky Tail looked pretty damn good on the Switch as far as the
that game's more linear. I would think it's not as big. Like, I don't want to say like this is an open world game or anything, but it has big open areas where Super Lucky Tail really doesn't have that.
Okay, I haven't played it. That's where we need Rob.
Yeah, I can't really mention. I've seen some gameplay of new Super Lucky Tail.
I played the demo and I thought it looked pretty dang good. This is a really bad capture or whatever. I
don't think it's as appealing visually as even SpongeBob.
Not on this video. Captures absolutely.
Looks a little ashy.
Out. This one's
actually, I mean, look at the color difference.
No, this is a bad. Somebody captured that terribly.
Captured that on a.
Because they had their settings all wrong because it doesn't look anything. It looks pretty damn good.
They captured that on a Dazzle.
It's a little bit. It's definitely a little more washed out color-wise. Super's Lucky Tail, but it looks
CNN
way
recommended
cleaner.
videos. What you doing? Watching fake news, Juice?
Oh,
what? Oh,
I see these CNN recommended videos on the side.
Yeah.
You watching the fake news?
better than Fox News.
But how much?
I just watch for their Corona coverage where they show the actual numbers.
You gotta explain yourself.
Yeah,
Sanjay Gupta, man, he's a doctor.
Sanjay, I like Sanjay.
Yeah, he's
on that
a straight shooter.
Yeah,
I can't stand some of the other ones though, where their interview questions is basically they give their opinion in question form, and I'm what the fuck, like I like when they get
news is different now, so
I know, but I like when they get called out.
A lot of opinion stuff.
It's like Just ask the question. Don't give them your opinion.
You're leading it. If you were in court, they would fucking objected to your ass 20 times right now.
It's just disgusting.
Objection, leading the witness.
I can't stand it. I don't care if they're if I'm on the same side of their political views. When
do you want their opinion or yours? What the fuck?
Yeah,
like, aren't you asking them a
sometimes
question?
A question today they were talking to it was Bill Gates, because I like to hear what Bill Gates has to say. And the guy asked him a question. It was about 2 minutes long and covered about 5-6 different things. And also the dude was giving his opinion. I'm like, just ask the fucking question. Like, so anyway,
I want to know what Lil Wayne thinks. Get the fuck out of here with this. Let's go. We have an interview with Lil Wayne. We want to know what he thinks about the racial unrest. I don't want to hear from no fucking Lil Wayne right now. Get that shit out of here.
Lil Wayne is not the.
But look at how much.
No.
Getting back to the gaming part, like Lucky's Tale, it's a little bit washed out, but it's way cleaner. Like, I don't know if this might be a 30 frames per second game. I think
it's 30 FPS. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Curious.
Remember, so there you go. There goes your whole argument.
I don't know. It does say the videos was uploaded at 60, but
yeah, that doesn't mean. I'm looking at it. It don't look 60.
I mean, just because it's 30 doesn't mean it can be cleaner.
I mean, I'm thinking maybe that's 30, why it looks.
You're trading frame rate for visuals.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking, but I don't know. Maybe it was.
I thought. See, 60. Like these areas don't look as. They look
no,
more,
they don't. It look. It's not like.
They look more Mario Galaxy-ish. Not even Mario Galaxy-ish.
Yeah, I would say don't disrespect Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'd rather have cleaner visuals that maybe less stuff going on than trying to push too much and then have whatever SpongeBob was accomplishing.
I think SpongeBob just got a little bit.
SpongeBob worked just fine on GameCube, so I don't know why. You can't do that.
My cat's just like just out of the blue. She's right outside my door.
Yeah, Robert talked me out of buying this game. I would have had it by now, but
it's not what. It's a really short
it
game.
Is, and
it's under 8 hours, I believe.
I ain't paying no $40 for that. Sorry.
It's a fun little demo, but it wasn't like, oh man, I gotta have the rest of this game.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those games that just doesn't like get to that next level. I don't know how to describe
it. Will not go down in price either. I've been watching. It's like, we'll get down to 20, 25, maybe I'll get it. But it will not go down.
Versions come out, then it'll go down in price.
Oh yeah.
I still find that hilarious that Nintendo has the better version of the same game that came out on Xbox. That just
So who watched the Avengers War Table breakdown?
Oh God.
Oh boy.
That is some of the you know what I called it in my stream yesterday? It's taking Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3's gameplay with just a bigger budget. It's literally the same. It's like a fucking
that Thor gameplay on the aircraft carrier thing was like, I was getting bored watching it. I'm like, he's just all he's doing is the same 3-4 moves. Taking out these same robots over and over and over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's literally Ultimate Alliance 3's basic beat 'em up combat, but you just put a huge.
You're just closer behind them,
But then they talk about
it's worse for that reason because at least Ultimate Alliance 3 was arcadey.
But then they break down all these all these game mechanics that I'm like, they make it sound like it's
like every other generic superhero game that comes out. Captain America. I actually like Captain America. That's actually an underrated game for 360. But it's no different than those. I don't know. I don't know what the big deal is.
They try to describe it like it's a super in-depth RPG and shit, and it's just like I think they know that.
It looks like.
I don't know if anyone remember when the E3 when they first showed this game off and they were talking about post-launch we'll have free DLC characters for the game, and I'm like,
yeah.
To do what? The same 3 to 4
the same levels?
What are they gonna be doing?
The Hyrule Warriors.
I feel that way about Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's like, oh, I'm locking all these characters, and if you don't play them right away, then they'll be so badly leveled you can't play them later on. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna go back and play the game again, but I'm going through the same damn levels. Just because it's different
level creep was kind of the bigger issue, and the main issue I have here is Ultimate Alliance 3 Elite showed more characters in its main game,
right?
In this one, we've only seen
right. Oh, we had a ton of characters in
the first movie's Avengers and Kamala Khan because diversity.
Right. And I mean, once I saw, they announced who was making it, I was kind of excited. I want to see what they could do outside of, Tomb Raider's the last 3 games they made. But it's like, I think the single biggest problem this game's going to have is making it look realistic, and then it doesn't look like 10 years of the MCU, all these characters, we know what they look like from the movies, and now they look completely different
like
people.
Weird dolls.
And it's just like, I think that's gonna be the biggest hurdle. Is like that's not fucking Thor. Yeah, you made him kind of look like Chris Hemsworth a little bit, I guess, because
it's kind of like what Malik said in the comments. He was like, these look like off-brand event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Like you can tell what they based it on, but it's like you still look too close for them to be their
Iron
own.
Man looks awesome in a suit because he looks about right.
Yeah, but you start looking at people's faces like Thor and shit. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, this gameplay to me, like,
This shit looks weak as fuck.
very beat 'em up, very repetitive, very.
This shit looks so boring.
The thing is, you've given these characters that, and you restrict them. It's like that with a lot of superhero games. That's why Spider-Man can work so well with video games, because you can restrict them somewhat to ground level. And
and that's why Superman will never
Superman
work.
games are so crap, because
They all suck.
You can't, as soon as you restrict them, you need
I'm
to
not
just put them
Superman
up.
now. I don't have. Why do I have a meter for my eye
So
beams
it's
and
like
shit?
you saw Thor flying. You saw Thor flying just then, but it's like, well, what's the point?
You know what I don't like
Right.
about shit like this? They show the cutscene where Thor lands and he destroys this massive robot without barely even touching it. And now these little guys need like 5 hits before they fly away. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
That is very true.
it does remind me. I kind of feel like they played God of War and they're like, oh, we want to capture that.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Yeah.
it works for God of War because
Because he's not Thor. He can't fucking fly.
Well,
he can't do all.
he's
lightning
still a
and
god,
shit.
but what they did was it's basically almost all close quarters combat, and with this you're adding in the flying, the long range stuff, and it's like, and it just doesn't. Even though this is 30, it looks like for sure 30 frames per second. It feels slow.
It's definitely
It's
It
clearly
feels
30.
slow.
man.
Like God of War's didn't. I mean, it still was a slower combat, I guess, than the original.
Is that a name tag on her shirt?
Yeah, but it's like to me, it just doesn't look fun, which I'm guessing means it ain't gonna play that fun. But I don't know. But Hulk
Oh, you
looked,
get to play as Hulk. Fuck Hulk.
and he had the Spartan outfit on.
They nerfed him in the goddamn movies. They got to give a shit about playing him in this game. No.
And it's like,
No.
it's like Thor is flying so slow. It just looks slow and awkward.
It looks like a license game.
And look at this.
With-
You want to
He's-
play a good old Hulk game? Play what is it? Ultimate. What is it? The
And look at
the,
these
the
enemies that
Xbox,
aren't reacting to getting hit.
PS2, GameCube one.
I always hate when I see enemies slide across the surface
name
that they
of it?
shouldn't be able to slide on.
And why is Hulk just not blowing through everything? Why is he punching? him
Because
He should be
that's the
smashing
problem.
everything.
When you're doing an Avengers game, like this shit, it's essentially got to be like a Platinum game in the sense that everything has to be a spectacle. Because you're dealing with characters who can destroy planets. Half these
Yeah, it's just-
motherfuckers can destroy the Earth if they cared to put in the effort. All right.
Yeah, someone made a good point.
Wait,
Why
see,
make
look,
it?
Look how many fucking punches this robot takes. The Hulk and Thor are both beating like this thing for like 5 minutes, and in the
Right,
intro, he didn't even touch it.
This is the A team. Like this is you could do this shit with like with
Look at
Teen
this
Titans
flying.
and
Look
shit.
at how
This will work with
janky it
Teen
looks.
Titans. Like if this is a Teen Titans game, then you got something. But you got gods. You got Hulk and Thor together.
Let me rewind.
This should be
'cause
nothing.
His flying looks so janky. Like
This is terrible.
like you could control
Really
it.
slow.
It's like
Well, it's the
And
He's
because it's a
getting-
realistic game, you expect
Look
it
at-
to be,
look at
quote unquote realistic.
the flying.
Because they're doing that. Like I said, it's Ultimate Alliance 3 with just a better budget.
It looks
Right.
like
And I mean
Thor
that
is
in terms of
flying
visuals.
at 10 miles per hour. No, I'm not even exaggerating. It looks so slow. It's ridiculous.
but there's no need for him to fly in this game. It
Him
doesn't-
flying is not helping
the
in
game-
gameplay
the
wise.
game is so
He's
it's so
hitting
the
He's
game is so
hitting a
small
physical wall anyway.
and linear. It's not working for these characters. Where if they put them in an environment like Disney Infinity or even Hulk Ultimate Destruction, which we played on the GameCube.
That's
right?
the one
If
I'm
they-
thinking about. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, if they put him in environments like this, then the characters can work. And then you
Yeah.
can have group dynamics where you're like, okay, Thor, I need you to get to the other side of the city with Iron Man, quick. Yeah, they fly over there, objectives over there, while the Hulk is bashing stuff up on the other side, and Black Widow is doing some, and that's another thing. You got Black Widow in this now. We all love Black Widow, but when you put her amongst fucking these guys who could fly or like punch their way through the center of the earth, you're like, what's the point in even including?
Well, that was just like that in the movies too.
I don't see Black Widow running around scissor kicking people.
You don't want to play her. You're not going to want to play her.
Black Widow scissor kicking robots. She would get her meat. She would get her meat minced.
I thought about that. I thought that in the movies. I'm like, how is she fighting these aliens and stuff when she's just? I mean, yeah, she's got some good moves, but look at this. I mean, yeah, this area is actually pretty big, so he actually
watching her and Hawkeye. I was just like, oh, this has got to.
It's like all this could have been. This could have been.
I think that man has a homing attack. I'm fucking blown away.
This could have been a Black Widow game where they got rid of the robots, had some humans or some military stuff or whatever, and then
actually, realistically, yeah, you're right.
And then
it would have made more sense to tone it down and have it be focused on one Avenger. Instead of making an Avengers game.
They took too much. They bit off more than they could chew. They got to make all the Avengers.
We say they bit off more than they could chew. They haven't even included all the Avengers. Like, it's
this is like this is from the MCU. This isn't like the Avengers.
You're right. Yeah, this is. I don't see Wolverine anywhere.
Oh, he's got his cape now, so that's better. But why are we fighting all these generic ass looking Bumblebee?
Spider-Man in this? No.
Hulk looks cool.
Actually, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Here's Black Widow.
No Spider-Man in the Avengers? What the fuck is this?
She moves just
and
as
they're
fast
still like in
Thor.
Miss Marvel enclosed areas and shit.
It's just
who actually fucking cares about Black Widow? She's just walking around there and shit. Like, who cares?
What is she doing?
I
like Black Widow character. I just don't think she works in this game. She doesn't work in this game. I like the character.
So I like if you're gonna do a Black Widow game. I mean, you're the new Tomb Raider reboot guys. Fuck Chuck Lara.
You need to do something like Splinter Cell type of shit.
I do a Black.
That's what she needs to be in. That's what Black Widow needs. She needs like an espionage type
like
of
a stealth game or something.
Stealth game, yeah.
Yep.
With some frenetic combat when need be, like some with her martial arts style.
That would be dope. I would love to play that game.
This literally looks like a high budget beat 'em up game.
And it's coming out at the end of a generation. I mean, there's backwards compatibility and stuff.
Yeah, that was poor choice on so many levels.
Yeah. But
they should have just delayed this game.
People will eat it up, and this is the problem.
I don't know. I think
there's nothing.
I haven't really seen anybody.
Like really exciting.
Nobody's excited about this game.
No, well,
I don't see anybody talking about
it. I think this is another Last of Us boycott type thing where we're all like, yo, this looks absolutely fucking garbage.
No,
where there's the rest of the world, could look at this and go, oh, I get to play as a whole.
No, I think this looks way worse.
Even the regular people that I would expect to be talking about this type of game, they don't care.
I didn't even know they showed it.
There's no talk.
I didn't see anything on Twitter.
Nobody's talking about this game.
But I will say, as somebody who owns Spider-Man PS4, it's not that far. I mean, it's not like that much worse or anything. To me, it's like in the same kind of category as far as the combat.
Ooh,
it doesn't have the Arkham Knight counter system and stuff, but it still looks. It's just as boring looking.
Yeah, well, that's right. You don't even think that highly of the Arkham.
At least
Spider-Man is in his own thing.
In his own environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still
is this this is maybe a really bad question. Is this the Square game we're looking at now, by the way?
Yeah.
Because those cities areas, they look horrendous compared to the Spider-Man game from Insomniac.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you make a game that's essentially a fucking beat 'em up game, you then have to, like, in certain environments, you have to make sacrifices to get all this shit running. So what do? They're in pseudo. It's about pseudo decently large areas, but like everything else around it looks like shit.
It's just very generic.
This should have been Marvel Universe Online. That's what this should have been. Marvel.
It might as well have been.
Like DC Universe is. That's what this is starting to remind me of, like some DC Universe shit.
Yeah,
it should have been an MMO online.
Well, I can't even get.
And then it would have been okay.
Iron Man's flying looks just as slow as Thor's, and then it looks like Black Widow has Spider-Man
because if he went any
abilities.
faster, the frame rate would crash. I think realistically, that's the reason why they're
even if I was slightly interested in this game. I mean,
it's just
I already have
this
game. I have this.
Like, I think if they would have released this like around the time of Endgame or something,
yeah,
then they would have had some. There would have been some excitement around it. But
the other thing would have been to make this
really
a next gen launch title or something, and just try to get some excitement there instead of just being a end of the generation kind of game for the current gen. But whatever it is,
even like Marvel fanboys are not even like talking about this.
The thing is, we've spoken about this before, like, when we always go back to like the GameCube, we're just like, man, movie games here, movie games there, movie games all over the place. But the problem now is like, it's like you look at this game, you're like, you can clearly see that they've tried to pump some graphics into it, and get it looking as best as they at least can with whatever budget they got. But at the same time, it's probably what's caused it to be delayed and to be tried to get working, where you just like, for fuck's sake, just make a fun game based off the movie. That's all you need to do. Just get them out there. Yeah, make the gameplay solid. You can do it. You're a capable developer.
Why did Nick Cage look like my uncle and shit?
I feel like this game has probably been in the making for absolutely years, and they're just like, right, fuck it, let's just.
Well, the problem is
they probably cut loads of stuff, and they're like, break it down. Yeah, slim it down. Let's just get this fucking thing out.
And the problem is they don't have like a game engine catered to combat like Platinum Games. Their game engines, they use the same one, they just modify it, is based around combat. And when you have, I'm guessing, whatever they made Shadow of the Tomb Raider in, as much as I love the last three, the new trilogy, the combat's the worst part of the Tomb Raider games. Like, other than just stealth, using the bow and arrow and taking people out, just the melee and the close quarters combat is absolutely terrible. And it's just like, so they didn't even have a pedigree of that, with their their design.
You think they gave it back to a Japanese studio, but at the end of the day, Square gave it to Core Design not Core Design, Enix, isn't it?
Crystal Dynamics.
Dynamics, thank you, to do it. And when I think back to like old all the old Marvel games or comic book games that I used to love, they were all mostly done by Japanese studios. You go to Konami, you go to Capcom, you go to these guys who nailed the feel of all these worlds, and now I don't know what's happening.
Well, this is Square. Square's publisher.
This is big budget.
Well, other than me, most people think Spider-Man was a pretty successful accomplishment from Insomniac. So, I mean, there has been that many.
I said Nick Cage. I meant Nick Fury. I was thinking Nicolas Cage, which he did name himself after Nick Cage because he's a comic book nut. His real name is Nicholas Coppola. For you people who don't know.
I mean, what Japanese,
Francis Coppola's nephew.
What Japanese, comic book games have we had?
What comic book games have we had in general, though?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Western ones where you say Spider-Man. We can mention Batman and stuff like that. They done really well with Batman and everything. I'm just trying
Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, that was Koei Tecmo.
That was Koei Tecmo.
I didn't know that. I didn't really think of it.
It was very successful.
Who made the PlayStation 2?
It sold over $1 million.
Who made the Spider?
No, I mean successful as far as execution of the game.
What about the Spider-Man games on the GameCube and PS2?
Those were good.
Who made those?
That was Activision.
So. PS2 was it was Activision. Yeah.
So anyway, let's get to these questions. We got some pretty good ones in here. And when does that Avengers come out? Did it even say?
I thought it was like September is what it got delayed to. I thought
it's too late is what it is.
Yeah.
They also did, by the way, just real quick, they did show Cyberpunk game footage too.
Oh boy, Cyberpunk.
Yeah, we can talk about that next week.
No, we can't.
I want to get these questions.
I bust a nut.
All I'm gonna say is it literally looks like first-person GTA.
Yeah, I did get some GTA vibes from that.
That's
the trailer. from the trailer.
It's that same kind of
GTA just because he's driving around.
No, if you watch the trailer, it's cut
I did
exactly
watch
like
the
a
I
trailer.
watched that
GTA
trailer. I
game
did not feel GTA
with the
at all.
music
I didn't
and
feel
Yeah, I
GTA.
cuts to the dialogue. Yeah, that's all. I mean, to me that was it was just. I mean, that was my first thought.
yeah. That was like
Well, if you know
immediately
CD
when I
Projekt
first
Red,
saw
that game is going to be
No, I'm not saying
as
it's gonna
far
be-
away from GTA.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna
as
be
it could possibly
trash
be.
like GTA, but it felt like they were trying to capture that vibe of the GTA 5 trailer back. When
Yeah,
that
I just
came
wasn't
out.
engaged because the vibe it gave me was like, oh fuck.
But honestly,
This isn't-
the gameplay and the trailer did nothing for me personally, as far as like.
I would say me either.
But
You just both.
You guys don't like video games.
You're
man.
both dead inside.
Fuck out of here, bro.
You know, saying like I saw Terrell earlier playing Pokemon Swords, and I was like, look at him. Just look at him.
I mean, look, to be fair, I'm still playing Pokemon. So
yeah, I don't know. There's nothing calling me to the Cyberpunk.
no, yeah, that
From what I've
two
seen,
two things I could agree with. One is the tone of the game and the characters, and I feel like they are very almost European. They are very European, and I can agree with that. I would probably
Which I love because that's the best cyberpunk shit.
I
Anyway.
would probably prefer still going down the lines of Ghost in the Shell and stuff, but the standalone complex series in terms of vibe. But what they have nailed is just the environment, just that neon lit cyberpunk future.
What's the best cyberpunk movie out there?
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner. Who made that? Where is he from? Oh, okay. So let's move on.
I'm just saying it wasn't engaging.
That's who does cyberpunk. The
I will
best.
say it looks really nice.
Yeah, and I'm not
Right, you're
downing the visuals. I'm just saying like when I looked at it, I was like, oh,
No, I'm not even like commenting. on what
Character
you
wise,
guys-
I didn't.
I'm just talking about the European feel of cyberpunk.
Oh, right, the European. No, well,
That's
this
who's
is-
best
I mean,
at it.
It's like I don't think there's two types of cyberpunks. There is the neon Tokyo type of cyberpunk, and then there's the dirty punkish,
Which is what I like better.
rock type of cyberpunk. And I love a mix of both of them.
Yeah.
I feel like the city has got all of that neon Tokyo type of vibe that I fucking love.
What would
And
you
then
classify?
the characters? Sorry, go on.
I was saying the movie I haven't seen in 20-something years, Escape from New York. Did that have any cyberpunk feel to it or not?
No.
No, that
It's
was
more
that was,
just dystopian than
Was it?
anything.
Okay.
that is
Dystopian
definitely
post-apocalyptic.
more.
Yeah, I probably haven't
Yeah,
seen that
just-
since I was
just
12 years
80s.
old.
That's pure. That's as 80s as it fucking comes, man. In terms of a dystopian type of
Yeah,
future.
that would be closer to something like I don't really know, Road Warrior. It'd be closer to something like that than it would be like
Okay.
Blade Runner.
I just hadn't seen him
Yeah.
for so long. I can't even remember.
Well, I never escape from New York. I'll watch it all day every day.
Oh, I love it. Did that.
All right, so let's get to these questions. We'll start with Daco Trees. Do you think companies doing their own events like IGN Summer of Gaming will try to do this when E3 returns? I don't know, because that
Really?
Jeff Keighley thing just kind of went under the radar, I
Nobody
feel.
cared.
What was the question again?
I mean, no one gave a shit.
Do you think
Yeah,
these
it's not
companies
bad.
will go back to E3 when it returns, or still try
They're
to
gonna
do
go
their own
crawling
thing?
back.
And that's a good, because I was going to ask an E3 question. I forgot to type it up. I'll ask it after this. I think everybody, if E3 came back, I think most people would go back
Right.
to the same, except for, I think Sony's done with E3s, and as far as stage presence, I mean, they pretty much pulled out completely this year. I don't know, with a new system and stuff next year, I guess I could see them coming back, but as far as the other companies, I haven't really been paying attention to IGN Summer of Game. I don't even know what that is.
There hasn't been
honestly.
much
And-
to pay
and
attention to.
nobody's been paying attention to IGN Summer
I mean,
Gaming.
even like the
Literally,
Jeff
you just see a
Keighley
trailer and
stuff.
you're like, cool, a trailer, and that's about it.
Well, what about
Yeah.
here's the question.
I just find it funny because everybody's talking all this cash shit about, oh, we don't need E3, blah blah blah, and then everybody can do their own thing, and it's just so disjointed. Like nobody really is focused on it.
That's what I was.
Nobody cares.
Look at us now. We're all twitching. I see some videos like people still going back to old leaks and stuff, saying, "Oh God, I need this to happen now." Just like fucking hell, man.
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask is Nintendo's E3 would have been last week or 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
And I'm sure they had somewhat of the direct. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't finished, and maybe because of the virus, people couldn't leave their homes and stuff. But when are they gonna do whatever they were? Are they gonna just do a direct, or are they just gonna sprinkle individual game announcements out? To me, it's like,
well,
why wouldn't they still?
If you want me to tell you, the talk is that Nintendo's gonna have something next week.
Oh, really?
That's the rumor.
Well, they did say don't plan anything in June. That's what they're people.
Which that'll be over tomorrow.
We're reporting that's what they were being told, and that turned out to be true. So
yeah, that's why they were like third parties go.
But I was just like, why not just do whatever direct you had planned and just do it? I mean, you don't need E3 to do it. Like, still do a Nintendo Direct. And I'm just curious what they're waiting for. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing because they said that nothing has changed basically as far as what they're going to release their schedule. They say they're on track with everything. So why not just have something? It's not like you're releasing a new console and you're trying to hide things. Put your games
If it's just a bunch of trailers that they already had, then you don't. The COVID shit doesn't matter. You can just email somebody a trailer and they jag it into something, But the thing is, like, for example, the ARMS thing from Sakurai, he said in that was recorded like May 2nd. So that makes me think that originally it would have probably been part of E3, and considering how things are going, they were like, okay, might as well just make this little segment of ARMS there. They randomly dumped the Paper Mario trailer, which is something you definitely would have expected. I feel they're just breaking it down little by little.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because you are the company who started this whole direct thing to everybody. Like, if anybody should be having a direct right now, it should be you as Nintendo. Like I don't understand when you're the one who basically started this whole, we can just do it without some big venue. We can do it ourselves without little directs. Or why wouldn't they have something at this
And why
point?
wouldn't some of these companies coordinate and just kind of? You don't need people in a convention center to have announcements coming out in a similar time frame. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird how they. I mean, Jeff Keighley thing.
I shouldn't have more information about Xbox Series X and PS5 than I do about my Switch right now. That shouldn't be a thing.
And then Xbox is supposed to have a July event, and who knows when. They haven't set a date, but I'm guessing it'll be first half.
Yeah.
So that could be coming up. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird how it. They really needed that one physical event to have everything coordinated. It's just, I mean, EA still did their kind of thing, and it was, was even worse by the fact that there wasn't other stuff following it to wash the taste out of your mouth, like per se. But because usually start with E3s or EAs on like Saturday, and they're all right. Well, we got Bethesda and Microsoft coming tomorrow, and that'll. I'm still excited, and then those disappointing. Like, we got Sony on Monday, Nintendo on Tuesday. So it just doesn't.
One thing is for certain, I'm not fucking like putting my hands in fucking Jeff Keighley for showing me a good time for game shit, man. Especially if they're saying, Kojima started a new game. I'm tired of that Kojima ass-licking shit. I need E3, man. I can't just have the game.
Did he announce that he's got a new game or not?
I heard something like that. Like he started a new game.
I think I've heard that as well. But...
So it obviously means that every single game from now on is just going to be more fucking Kojima ass-licking. I don't need that shit.
I don't want my shit filtered through him. Like, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell no.
10 years from now, we're going to look back and say Death Stranding was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dave97 wants to know, when do you think Square Enix will finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, and how many parts will it be?
Man, why you playing, Dave?
This shit, man.
What are you playing,
I
Dave?
tell you, Dave, you're playing that shit on your PlayStation 7, man. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna say they're gonna end up being like 4 parts.
At this rate,
the last
like,
part's gonna be just super rushed and crammed with bullshit, and it's not.
If we go off the chunks that they're taking,
it's gonna be Shenmue 3.
Fuck, it's Shenmue 3 where it's just like, okay, it's actually a 30-part story.
Nothing gets accomplished. Woo!
I mean, they can't. They're in a completely different position from Yu Suzuki and Shenmue and Sega and all that stuff. They have to finish what they've started. Square have to. I think as a company, it rides so heavy on them now that they have to finish it. So it will be finished. If they don't finish it, I think this will damage them beyond more than they might realize.
Well, didn't they set it up for like the 2008 Star Trek, where they kind of set it up for an alternate path?
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's not a remake anymore. It's a reimagining. So people are essentially going to play, playing a somewhat different game.
Yeah, so it could be 2 more parts and be over.
I was gonna say, I literally think they did that whole alternate timeline shit so that they can milk it forever.
And also,
most of the hard shit, they have all the character designs and shit. They have the shit. I mean, each subsequent game is gonna take less and less time to make. They're gonna milk the shit out of this. I mean, come on, Final Fantasy VII is the most milk thing in the fucking world.
Advent Children, anyone?
That movie was.
No, honestly, I believe.
God, that was stupid.
If they get it finished on PlayStation 5,
Dissidia, Final Fantasy VII.
I'll be stunned. If they get it finished, I'll be stunned.
Yeah.
I'll be stunned.
All right, so Bad Ghost asked, and I think we brought this up a little bit last week. How do you feel about Nintendo leaving the mobile game market after everyone crying for them to go mobile? I'm glad they left the mobile game market because,
as far as I'm concerned, they never went.
I never.
They haven't. I mean, that's
who said they're leaving the mobile market?
They haven't left. They haven't left.
They're saying they're not going to be emphasizing
leaving
mobile games anymore.
Yeah.
I don't buy that for a second with all the money Terrell gave them for Fire Emblem alone.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. I don't care for their mobile stuff, but I don't understand why, because they are making.
If you look at the one since then,
money on some of them.
They didn't make shit. The Animal Crossing one and Mario Kart.
I think Animal Crossing and Dr. Mario made them quite.
I think Mario Kart
money.
made what.
Yeah, Mario Kart really didn't do anything, which
Mario Kart just bothers me because Mario Kart just bothers me because the fucking mobile game has more shit than Mario Kart 8 at this point.
Oh, some of the characters that game is getting, I'm like, fuck.
I know,
but honestly, I mean, if they're not gonna.
Well, Mario Kart 8 is what's wrong with Mario Kart. What is it called? Mario Kart. Give me your money. Whatever the name of that shit.
Yeah, because I mean, 20-something million people have Mario Kart 8, and it's like, why would they play the mobile game when they have this?
Right.
I think what they've noticed is that more people download than people buy stuff.
What about Dragalia?
I think that's going really fucking well. I think
that did well, right? So I don't understand why. Yeah, everything's not a hit, but I guarantee you they're making pretty good profit on overall.
Wait, weren't they going to make a Zelda, by the way?
Yeah. So I just think they have to pick their IPs better. Like, Animal Crossing wasn't a good idea, especially when you got a big Animal Crossing game coming out. And Mario Kart wasn't a good idea because people can't stop buying Mario Kart 8. So those are only 2 missed up. I guess you can say
Mario Run was kind of a failure.
Mario Run, but they wanted $10 right out of the gate. I think if it wasn't that, it would have done okay. I think it would have done a lot better.
Because I said that like one of my in a recent video I did, one of my other videos, where I was just like, we've spoken about it before, where Nintendo their initial speech was, we doing mobile games so we can bring people to our platforms.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, right, hardly any of that mobile phone crowd from Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, have pushed Animal Crossing New Horizons to the levels that it has become. That's got hardly anything
Pokemon
to do with
Let's
mobile
Go
games. That is all Nintendo and new Switch fans.
That shit hadn't happened.
That's selling that game. those mobile phone people have not come over.
But you know what? That doesn't matter if you're making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, but
who cares if you're bringing them I can understand if that's your premise and that's what you want it to work, and it hasn't done that. One thing. But if you're making tens of millions of dollars on these games, why stop?
Maybe they're not
use that money to fund Switch games.
But didn't they have like a direct specific for some of these mobile games, like just like
some
a 5
of them
or
in
10
the beginning.
minute? Maybe they're just gonna be like, let's put them out.
Do you feel like Nintendo? Do you feel like Nintendo though? That's what they want. Do they want more people
probably
not on their platform than on their platform? Even
take
if
some of that
mobile
money and get your damn internet together on your game systems.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we can shout about what we want and all
use
that
those
stuff.
resources.
I'm just trying to think from Nintendo's mentality. They're like, holy shit, fucking, these billions of people have downloaded Pokemon fucking Go on mobile phone. But they're not. I mean, we're selling millions of Pokemon on our consoles, which is what we want. We want everything coming to us. That's our hardware. That's our software. We want it all there. We want everyone there. But for some reason now, these dickheads are just staying over here. We're making loads of money.
Yeah, that's the one thing they did say.
But we can't move them. We don't like it. What can we do?
Yeah, that was one point they did say, or they made, about not liking to have to cater to, cell phone hardware. That was another reason. Because Nintendo likes to use their hardware. They like their own hardware. They like their own environment, and they like that closed environment.
I think that was mentioned about Animal Crossing New Horizons. They saw how successful Animal Crossing has been on the Switch, and I think that made them look then at Pocket Camp and start thinking again. Wait, do we actually need these mobile phone dickheads over here? When it proves that we can get massive sales, from these games on our own platform. So I think that's what they're wrestling with, right now. Perhaps.
You should put Wave Race and F-Zero on mobile because they ain't putting it nowhere else. Fuck them.
Fuck off. I'd rather nothing. Give me nothing.
And Malik JC said the same thing, but he said,
"Oh yeah, Malik said
Wave Race and 1080p." I didn't know 1080p was a game. I think he meant 1080 snowboarding.
1080 snowboarding.
All right, so speaking of Malik, he's been thinking about the Wii U lately and wanted our opinion. What would have helped the Wii U more, coming out in 2011 with Skyward Sword, or releasing in 2012 with a different name?
2011 with Skyward Sword?
No, definitely different name.
I think 2012 with Skyward Sword.
There's nothing wrong
I'd
with
say
the name.
2011 with Skyward Sword.
If Skyward Sword still controlled the same, I don't think it would have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Well, if you had the
it would have helped. It would have helped to sell initially, but the
beginning.
The problem with the Wii U is not the name; it's the fact that it wasn't a Wii. It wanted to be a Wii, but it didn't want to be a Wii at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was trying to be a hardcore Wii.
Yeah, it didn't come with nunchucks and Wii remote and none of that. And it was just like, I don't know what it was trying to do. So, and neither did Nintendo.
That's Nintendo's mentality, though. They did it with the 3DS XL. Oh, everyone's already got the original 3DS. We don't need to give them a plug. You fucking just sell that shit with no plug. It's like, here we go. Everyone's upgraded. We got no new customers. Everyone's upgraded.
But if it was going to be a Wii U, it should have had like Wii Sports U, something like. It didn't cater up. It didn't cater to its Wii audience. It wanted to be, it wanted the Wii numbers, but it didn't cater to the Wii audience.
Remember they kept delaying Wii Fit U because of the sales weren't there, and they just kept delaying it because they thought that would be. The people that were playing Wii Fit weren't spending $350 on a Wii U Deluxe.
Yeah. And by the way, Wii Fit is what sell the damn console. Don't hold that game off. You know what I'm saying? Wii Fit sold Wii's.
I got Wii Fit U, and Wii Fit U is a great fucking game, guys. Honestly, if you haven't played it, it
is great.
It's a great fucking game.
I use it maybe once a week.
I completely agree. It's are we going for the Wii U talk again? I mean,
I honestly think
it makes you want to cry. It just
it's not worth it. It's not worth the conversation.
I think
I don't think Skyward Sword would have helped it.
I do.
Either year.
I think I think people were just tired of the Wii at that point, And yeah, maybe if it did control the same, it would have had the same. People would have had the same problem with it, I guess, on Wii U.
But it couldn't have. It would have had the control traditionally because Wii U didn't come with the. Yeah, it would have been like the GameCube.
And then we got a completely different game. So it's
right.
Either way,
if that's the case, then okay, great.
If they made that decision.
If it was that one, if it was a completely different kind of mechanic than the Skyward Sword game, and you just had a traditional, Zelda game, that probably would have helped it. So yeah, but then, you had to keep it going, and they were not ready.
No.
So maybe 2012 and Skyward Sword would have made a lot of sense.
All right, so let's go back to Dave97. Do you think the Punch-Out series could return in today's world given the political climate and current events? Are the stereotypes really that offensive? That's an interesting question, honestly.
That is interesting.
Question.
I think it probably I don't think it would cause too much controversy if they kept it the same or similar, but
I think the fact that we're starting to think this now is just fucking horrendous. It's scary, man. It's so...
No, I get it. Like you can still make Punch-Out.
You can still make a
without
Punch-Out
like overplaying the stereotypes, because that's what they did. They overplayed the stereotypes.
Yeah, because just look at like the characters in a game like Overwatch and stuff. Like they stand out. They're unique characters, unique designs, but they're not like stereotype designs. So yeah,
the Indian guy doesn't have to have a turban on his head. Mm-hmm. Like you can still make him Indian. So you don't have to play up the stereotypes. So I think it could still work. Yes, that's my answer.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going back and looking at that game like, they gotta edit this game,
Oh, they'll do that.
I don't.
But I guarantee you, somebody will be mad.
Would they do it over a new game though?
People would be mad about it if you did change stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think they'd release it without.
I'm trying to think of Punch-Out characters who would be that offensive.
They're not crazy offensive. They usually have like a. They're more one-note gimmicks, and people and you could view it as offensive if you wanted.
Anybody mad about Bear Hugger? He's Canadian.
I hate the YouTuber. Oh wait, you meant the character. I'm sorry.
Oh man, why you do that?
Wasn't there was he a guy that did some kind of weird dance to? I've only.
Oh, you're talking about?
Yeah, there's stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was ironically enough, he was the new character in 2011's.
No, Flamenco.
And since I deleted the question, but Lightning had mentioned, I'm hearing this a lot, and I haven't seen, and I don't know if we wanted to get into this, but it seems like
Disco Kid.
You put a main character who's gay or lesbian, like in The Last of Us, and now it's SJW agenda. It's like. It's not thrown in your face. From what the part I've played, there's nothing thrown in your face.
Yeah, I don't like that shit either.
And it's like, it's just the main character's a lesbian. Who cares? It's not a big part of they don't make it like.
It's like when do you start?
It's not like thrown in your face. Like.
They're not telling you to go marry a gay person.
No, it's not.
I don't get it. Like,
there's no political stuff. They don't even bring up. There's no one. There's one guy.
But Last of Us 2 already had that problem inherently when it was like, oh. The main character's gay, and then who's the villains of the game? A bunch of crazy Christian groups, and that was the reason why that controversy even started in the first place. Yeah,
because we haven't had that in games before. Last of Us 2, crazy Christian groups,
fanatics. I
mean, it's not fanatics. It's like when do you start? When is it?
How many movies have that same villain?
Yeah, Far Cry 5,
and nobody had a problem with it, but now.
That's like even for the series that you love, Fear Effect, and stuff like that. It's like, we can go back to old games and stuff where Fear Effect. Sorry, is it Fear Effect?
Fear Effect.
On the PS1.
Oh yeah, what? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, Fear Effect. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, because she was a lesbian now, was she?
Yeah,
but it's like.
Pretty openly.
I don't think the issue.
What I'm saying is it's just like we're talking about social justice warriors and all that stuff, or they're putting it in there just because of this, just because of that. But I'm just like, well, when do we start making games about characters and people and human traits? When does it become okay?
And
should
like I
should we make characters, about black people, because it's still racial issues, in the US? Is it too late now to have too many black characters in video
people
games?
got mad. I was talking about this on my stream, and people were like, people talked about how people got upset about John Boyega being a stormtrooper, and talking about basically is blackwashing a thing, making black characters who were traditionally white characters. They're talking about Idris Elba maybe being 007 and shit like that. But nobody got upset when fucking Baxter Stockman came out as a white dude. Nobody was upset. And then they saw the Tyler Perry one. And it's like, oh, why did they make him black? Bitch, he was black from the beginning. He was black in the comics, but nobody remembers that. But
I never read
it's
the
just
comics.
It's silly. The comic Baxter Stockman was black.
I know, Terrell, you've read or you've watched cutscenes and stuff from the game. There's absolutely nothing in the first 10 hours that's like anything. Like there's one little incident
my issue,
where there's like a older guy in their town.
My issue as far as Last of Us was concerned was never really that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
That didn't really, although I would somewhat disagree with T's point as far as black, quote unquote, I'm just using it for the lack of a better term, blackwashing a character, because my problem is that it's used as a cop out in modern media. Instead of making like a legitimately interesting black character, we'll race swap for the fuck. Because black people only care about that, and that's what pissed me off.
But that's easy to say. There's been decades and decades of no representation, and all of a sudden we're supposed to make some compelling character that anybody's going to care about. That's going to be a hard thing to do.
I'm saying it's a lazy middleman to just fucking race swap a character and act like that's. What
about as for movies? What if it's just the actor came in and just blew them away? Like this is maybe they're like.
Let's just say
everything has been. Here's the problem. Everything has been traditionally a white dude. So anytime you put somebody else like 007, James Bond is not about him being white. It's about his character, him as a spy.
That's what I wanted to say.
His culture doesn't matter. You can put anybody in that.
Because I would have fucking preferred Elba as James Bond as fucking Daniel Craig, because I can't goddamn stand him as James Bond.
I totally would have too. So like now you can say, well, Black Panther, you can't swap Black Panther with a white dude. Like that's just because he's about his character. He's about where he's from.
Yeah, he's called Black.
So it's different. You might be able to do that with Blade.
We're talking about the suit, man. We're talking about the suit.
You might be able to do that with Blade, but you can do that with Black Manta. Even you could make.
Well, here's
so
the
it's
thing.
Just like it doesn't matter.
I feel like people just put themselves like a fly on the wall when the casting happens, or when they're coming up with a character for a game. Like for Star Wars, like, oh, we got to have a black character in the main cast. Happens. Okay, yeah. So maybe they did that, maybe they didn't. I don't know, but either way, I like John Boyega. Other than the fact they didn't do anything with his character from a writing standpoint, he did what he could with what they gave him.
Here's my problem with that. And this is what I was trying to say the other night, was that people have a problem with saying, oh, we want to get a certain amount of black people in here, but beforehand you had nobody in there.
Yeah, so
nobody was saying. So it's just like.
But that doesn't make you
almost have to overcompensate.
It doesn't make either right. That's my problem. It's both bad ways.
So all of a sudden we're supposed to be equal when all this time we haven't been. Oh, now let's be equal. Now let's, say, is he a well-written character? Like there hasn't been bad characters of all races beforehand. Like poorly written characters.
No.
Now he has to be perfectly written and understandable to be a black character. Like what? Like
no, that's not. That wasn't the point.
That's what I'm hearing.
The issue is not that
there has to be a reason he's black. No, there doesn't have to be a reason he's black.
That wasn't the problem. My issue was more so along the lines of, is that was the trade-off. Oh well, instead of giving you interesting new characters, we'll just race swap, and that'll be good enough for a while. Like that's the problem. That because people are so complacent with that, you don't get what you should be more interested in the first place.
But there are tons of. Well, my thing is there are tons of uninteresting what white characters have always been. I don't understand why that's a stipulation that we have to have.
I think you're talking about established characters because I'm getting confused. So, you're saying you're talking about an established character.
No,
who they're
actually that is the issue. That for when we get these fucking remakes or retellings of the same story, we'll just swap races instead of just creating just films with those characters naturally thrown in. Instead of just
what I'm saying is lazy writing happens all the time. People are just looking for a reason. People are just looking for that to be the reason there's lazy writing. Oh, they just wanted to swap the character to a black person, and they don't care about anything else all of a sudden. They don't care about the writing.
They do it because of inclusivity now. That's the reason why it's done now. Of changing races and shit. That's all. Well, we gotta be inclusive. Some characters gotta be women, and then we have to have women of color. And then it has to be other or we have to have a trans woman. It's like ticking off marks on a checkbox. That's
I know what I think. I just think there's more people of color or of a certain sexual orientation that are actually writing now than there wasn't before. So they want to incorporate somebody who looks like them, who acts like them, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Like that's just the difference is we're behind the scenes a lot more than we used to be even, and now we want representation in front of the scene. I mean, that's not. I don't see a problem.
Like it's not, but sometimes it's like you said. It depends also on the writing and that kind of shit. Because just inclusivity for the sake of inclusivity, then you get fucking safe space and whatever the other bitch was called in the Marvel shit. It's like there's like you have to like write it
Ghostbusters 2016 and I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that was the problem with that was lazy writing from the beginning.
Yeah, that was just bad.
It wasn't because it was women. It was just we're just gonna put women in and it's gonna be a win. No, it was just bad writing. It was a bad idea from the beginning.
Let's get back to The Last of Us. I just wanted to say like anybody who maybe there's something happens later in the game and it's like, oh, this is just obvious. To me, like Ellie it feels right from the character they set up in the first game. Yeah, they didn't make it obvious or anything until the DLC, where you could kind of tell that maybe she liked this friend of hers, and it's just like it doesn't feel forced. It just for me it doesn't stand out at all. If somebody hadn't said that and Lighten hadn't asked that question, I'm like, who's saying like just because there's a gay character doesn't mean it was forced and didn't happen in a more natural way when they're writing. It's like I don't know why I see that a lot with the guy I work with who's anytime you put if there's which
that's
not a lot
more of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
They just wanted to have a gay character in there just for the Me Too movement or whatever, SJW. It's like maybe the writer is gay, maybe the producer, maybe that's something you write what it's like.
So. Maybe after years of being terrorized for being gay, like now we're in a place where it's more acceptable. So you're going to see more people doing it and adding it to art and media.
And there's also the business side because there's Supergirl's one of the reasons it's still around was they that one felt a little forced. They only did it for one season. Her sister, whatever.
Supergirl, yeah. That's the bullshit, because I watched Supergirl, and then they fucking nerfed Superman, and I said, fuck this show. I'm done.
But they did it for like one season, and then they didn't follow through with it after that, so it kind of felt like they were trying just to gain a different audience.
And then Batwoman, you fucking see it's like, make the suit for a woman, now it's perfect or some shit she said.
That's a bad example. That's the stuff.
But you know what? I watched that episode and it didn't come off as bad as it looked in the trailer.
No, but
the trailer was just to piss people off.
Still seemed like a pretty badly written show.
They were trying to piss people. So yes, they do use it occasionally to get attention. Yes, but you know what? People do that with a lot of things that have nothing to do with race or.
And guess
anything.
What? When it's not good, then they cancel the show.
People won't watch it. Yeah.
Just because you said that, I just want to complain about that too. Still, like that moment when Superman said to Supergirl, "You're stronger than me now, man." I almost killed myself over that shit.
Yeah, I literally turned the shit off right there. I was like, I'm dead.
And Visor.
The only reason I'm watching Supergirl still is because it fucking crosses over with the Flash, and if I watch the Flash, Infamous one too.
Right, and you just pissed me off to now I don't care about Supergirl.
Yeah,
no more.
I stopped watching Supergirl. Had nothing to do with it's not like her sister stopped being gay, but she didn't have a relationship anymore after the second season or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't mind that. That didn't bother me.
I actually thought that was an
that.
interesting storyline.
Yeah.
And they just kind of dropped it, and it just got really stupid. It's like she's still as fast as a speeding bullet. Then why are people constantly sneaking up on her and taking her out? And it's stupid.
Thank you. I remember literally sitting there watching the episode saying, "You're Supergirl. How the fuck is people sneaking up on you? You got super hearing." It makes no sense. Like regular average people.
It happens all the time.
And I'm like, it happens too much, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Donnie Arts, the end goal is to get to a point with our societies and stuff where they can. It doesn't even matter if the sexual orientation or race of a character. It's just, is this a good good actor with a good writing, a good story, and who cares about the rest of it? Like it's.
Yeah. Well, that's just what I wanted to quickly, just add in and finish on, because I think the video game industry struggles with that more than any other industry that we've come across. It lacks, the video game industry lacks humanity. So what we have when we see stereotypes in all characters, and they feel like they need to stereotype in order to say, right, this person exists because they're from this place, because they're from that place. You can't.
Grand Theft Auto, anyone?
You could, an example, have a black person like me from Wales. You wouldn't see that in very often in a video game, if at all. That you'd have to have a black person who is from Jamaica, like Shadow Man. You'd have to have a black person from Jamaica, like DJ from Street Fighter, stuff like that.
What about the guy from Gears?
No, what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, though, they that is the stereotyping. Everyone's guilty of it. We see some few characters who manage to, I think, for example, let's just say, I don't know, like the ethnicity too much of, say, Chloe in the Uncharted series, but she's dark skinned and stuff. But from my experience, from what I've seen, they don't play too heavy on who she is, background wise or anything like that. Or as tuned out Halo 2, but like in Halo 1, you've got the Sarge. No, yeah, he's just your typical Marine.
Mm-hmm.
He's got
a bit. White guys get stereotyped too.
He's got a bit of an attitude and stuff.
Avatar,
but,
anyone?
What's that?
The corporal or whatever in Avatar.
Brooding, scruffy faced white males. That's a stereotype. That's
So
the industry is just unfortunately rife with it. I mean, it's like we forget humanity. And it's only when you have customizable games where you can actually then just paint yourself onto that character. But then even in the customizable games, how many games can you really customize a great looking afro or a great short, cut afro or something like that? That's where the humanity gets.
I can't even get decent dreadlocks, yo.
Yeah, they forget about that. So that's a stereotype in there. Or black people either bald or got a massive afro. Let's just give them that.
It's because you mentioned that, but that goes even like further than even something as simple as that. Like often in games when you can create your own character, I often have to like unlock gore haircuts just so I can give my guy fucking long hair and shit.
Yeah, it's all there. Like I said, it's the industry. It's really
we talked
really,
about
really
this.
bad for it. It's been like a few
years.
But
Last of Us 2 has come out, so now video games have grown up. So we're good to
go. And just speaking of that, like I think I've only encountered maybe definitely one, maybe two, like survivors that were black in The Last of Us so far. Like it's almost entirely white characters and a few like I guess Latin.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you why that's bullshit. Because when shit like that goes down, black people we out of there, so we gonna survive. Because we ain't messing around no zombies, none of that shit. You won't see us around.
But
we gonna survive.
What's the Eddie Murphy sketch when he's like, "Oh, it's a nice house, baby. We should stay here." Get out. Ooh, can't stay, baby.
Black people are tough, man. Yeah, we ain't messing with no ghosts, no shit like that. We're out.
He's talking about Poltergeist, wasn't he?
A couple years ago, we talked about Scalebound when they revealed that game, and it was a level that was on, and I'm just like, I'm so sick of this generic white, like early 20s main character, And he looks. It's funny. I haven't looked at
spunky attitude.
Yeah, I haven't looked up Scalebound in a couple years, but in my mind, he looks just like the dude from
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry.
Like Dante from Devil May Cry.
Not Dante, but the
Nero.
He looks just
Nero,
like him.
not Nero. I said,
And it's just like generic ass, and I'm
or
like,
Dante from DMC.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what? I think it's just, I don't know if it's Japanese, like they think that's looks super cool or something. Why they have similar looking characters, but I'm just like, I'm so over this attitude teen, maybe early 20s white kid main character. Like, a
lot of Japanese games are like that though. I feel like their average characters are always beautiful, in some way.
Almost could be,
and that was one complaint about the Final Fantasy VII remake. You go into the slums now, and everyone looks so well off and cool and clean and stuff compared to like the original, where everyone's
the slums
in piss and everything.
So we were talking about this a couple of years ago. I was like, man, we need some more variety. Like, that's what I think. Was it what's his face? The Critical Drinker. He's been losing me as a fan.
Yeah,
he
me
even
too.
ripped on Naughty Dog, and he said the Lost Legacy. I guess Neil Druckmann was caught up in the Anita Scar.
Oh yeah, she that was actually part of the reason why Last of Us got that. Part of the reason why it got so much drama in the first place, because Anita,
if he hadn't
had her hands,
if that video, if I hadn't seen that video, I seen that and heard that for the first time after I had played Lost Legacy and said it was my favorite Uncharted game. Like, if I didn't, there's nothing in that game that was like, oh, this was just, we need to have females, we need to have a black and a I don't know if Chloe's, she's not just straight Caucasian, but at the same time, it still is a great game. Like, and I guess I don't care if Anita whatever her last name is, Sarkeesian had any input in it. It's a really good game, and to see like the performances of the two main characters and the animators, how they animated these subtle, like you said, you don't know about Chloe's background, or in that game you kind of get a feel that she's had a hard life and some bad things have happened to her just by the expressions in her face and the performance. It's like, so I guess I don't care what the motivation was for that, as long as the end result, it doesn't feel forced at all. I had no feelings like that by playing the game.
That's why I mentioned her, because I played Uncharted 3 and 2 and stuff. I never got that impression.
And that's what I was alluding to.
That's where
on my stream, when I was like, all these movie reviewers now that I used to really like are starting this whiny ass, everybody's against the white guy shit, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this, man. Like, you guys have great content, and now you're all like catering to these morons. Like, I just get away from that.
And it's one of those things
where you look really suspect when you do that kind of stuff.
It's like the power of suggestion. If I had never watched that video, who knows? I may never have heard that people are saying that Lost Legacy was all this SJW, he was really influenced and they were forcing that stuff in there. If I hadn't heard that, I'd gone probably my whole life and never even thought that about after playing the entire game. But as soon as he said that and I thought about it, I was like, oh, I've watched video interviews with her, Anita, and she's just like, she's so off base and so wrong. She's like, the Mario franchise only has one female character, and just like, you're just factually so wrong about that. Like, how can I trust anything else you say? It made me take for a second there. I got caught up in it and like, fuck, fuck Naughty Dog. Then for a split second I was thinking that while watching the video, and then I was just like, got done.
Yeah, you realize you're getting caught up in that crazy shit
I got
too.
Sucked into the.
I did. It happened to me too. I came to that same realization.
That changes nothing. I still absolutely love the game. I would recommend that, and still say it's definitely the best Uncharted game in my opinion. So, I guess I don't care what the motivations were, as long as the end result is just, and it's just one of those things where, I guess everybody can look at it differently. But for me,
it's just they need to get away from that stuff.
But when it feels forced,
was it Robot? The other one I think I introduced you to them.
I haven't watched him.
He's been doing it. Geeks and Gamers has been doing it. It's like they're all starting to turn. Midnight Edge. I'm like, yo, I'm done. I can't even listen to you guys anymore.
I get it.
There's too much whining.
The Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy kind of, she kind of pushed it a little bit.
Kathleen, she totally,
she
give
ruined,
her.
But it wasn't ruined because of forcing.
She's just the wrong person to do it. That's the you can do it. You can have that agenda, but you still got to write good stories.
Yeah, write three movies that go together and make sense.
That was the only problem. But
because
anyway. I'm sure a lot of people have that agenda. But these people need to stop focusing on that and try to enjoy something because they're ruining my enjoyment now.
Yeah, because you can, like I said, you could absolutely love something, and then somebody could tell you maybe the guy who created a person who created it is a complete piece of shit, and it might change your opinion of something. It might change it. Yeah.
So that nearly happened with The Last Night, that pixel cyberpunk game. And the actual guy who created it, some dodgy shit started coming out about him. But I was just like, fuck, I don't want that to be true. So I don't want it to be true because the game looks amazing. Anyway.
So yeah, as long as it doesn't feel forced, and I'm pretty good at noticing that stuff without somebody having to tell me.
Right.
I've noticed when something feels forced, whether it's making a character gay or it's usually not related to that though. It's usually just whatever. You can just feel it's just usually bad writing when you force something in there. It just it's just bad characters.
And I think it's bad writing when all your channel starts to do is focus on this stuff. That's also bad. That's also cheap cop out. Get back to being creative and funny.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Get back to
about stuff that really doesn't matter.
Some pretty good analysis instead of
get back to good analysis like you used to do.
Justice League and blame it all on Zack Snyder instead of actually looking at what happened with Warner Brothers and all that. Anyway,
that's a narrative I can't stand too. The Zack Snyder narrative.
Good discussion, guys. Maybe we can dedicate a podcast to a topic like this in the future instead of trying to.
Terrell is going to lead it. He's going to lead.
Wait, what?
Podcast. You're going to be the main host of that podcast.
What
talking about media and movies.
Just gaming. Just this whole. I think I'd like to be to a point where it's just an interesting character is an interesting character, and no one even thinks twice if it's a black person, if it's a white person, if it's a gay character or what. No, I just would love to be up to a point where that's just not even a thought anybody has.
It's the same people
Star Trek,
begging to know what Master Chief looks like. You don't need to know.
I don't know. I don't want to know.
You don't need to know. He doesn't need to be anyone. He is already Master Chief.
But I will say, final thought: if you're big into diverse casts, there's a show. It's got 4 seasons on Amazon Prime called The Expanse, and it's that exact thing I just described, where you just have all these characters of all different ethnicities and backgrounds and sexual preferences, and nothing's forced. It's the best. It's just so well written, and you don't even think about. You're just watching the show, and you just you like characters. Some characters you don't like, and you don't even think about it until you actually stop and think about it. Because I was trying to think today,
or if I may throw in traditional Star Trek. That's what I loved about That's what I love about Star Trek.
Hell yeah!
Is that we're in the future? None of that shit matters. Nobody cares about any of your little squabble. There is complete peace when it comes to that stuff.
Yep.
So
and somebody
that's what I love.
Donnie Arts, I'm with you. I wish Legend of Korra was really good. It's a okay series with some really good animation. And it's not a great.
That game was trash.
Yeah, and it's got you look at these characters and they all look, they're pretty cool, but well designed, and then you got just the most annoying, poorly written dialogue, and it's just like, what the hell? What happened? How do you go from Avatar: The Last Airbender and to pretty much the same people make Legend of Korra, and it lost everything that made Avatar good? Just like The Hobbit, from Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit, it's like, how is this the same people? So
maybe you just answered your own question.
It's one of those things that there's so much to the mythology, to the world to expand, but at the same time, did we need it? Did we need more? I mean, you did a perfect trilogy, 3 seasons that ended so perfectly. Did we need more? People wanted more, but
Well, that's money. That's what happened
sometimes
with
we don't
Hobbit.
always what we want isn't what we really is. Doesn't mean
It wasn't made from
right.
the passion. It was made because this made money.
Yeah.
So let's do this now.
But anyway, good discussion, guys. We'll get to the rest of the questions next week, and yeah, we'll what other gaming news comes out in the meantime. So
Nintendo Direct.
thanks everybody for tuning